Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. You may have noticed the lack of content last week. I was actually away at the Tree Arena for Picture This last Friday, and I took the weekend to recover from how tired I was. We'll dive straight into the game and news. If you haven't seen any of this in the last 2 weeks, I don't know what the hell you've been looking at. Google have announced that they will be launching their own game streaming service called Google Stadia. They've announced that it will run across almost all screen types. So if you're on the go, it'll work on your tablet, your smartphone, etc., your laptop. If your device has the power for it, it'll run AAA high-end games. So they've announced that it'll run like Doom Eternal, the next Doom installment, which is a very, very high-powered game. So you're going to need serious internet connection to actually run these games. I don't know if it'll be strong enough in our parts, just like PlayStation Now, which was a fantastic idea, but the delivery not so much. I know in my own experiences of using it here in the house, it didn't work great. The loading time was very poor, and when it did work, and before I had Wi-Fi installed, I was just using my hotspot, and it wouldn't work. It would even come up saying, "No, it's not strong enough." Sorry. And I know that even people who have fiber have run into trouble saying that it's just way too slow. The response time is terrible. So I imagine if you're playing a game that, like, let's say Bloodborne or whatnot, that is available on PlayStation Now, it'd be just too hard to stomach the poor response times. Anyway, so yes, they've also announced that there's a new controller for the streaming device. It's very similar in design to the Xbox, with a slick white design and a very similar button layout with different symbols. They've also announced that they will have their own exclusives, just like PlayStation have. My God, what's the name? I was literally just looking at The Last of Us. That's it, The Last of Us 2. How did I forget the name of that? Just like they'll have The Last of Us 2 coming up, Google will have their own exclusives, which is a great way to attract new fanfare and really give the console an identity, which is going to be crucial in the first few years of launching it. So the prospect of having a gaming Netflix that actually lives up to what it says is very intriguing, and I really hope it works out. They've announced that it will be coming before the end of 2019, I believe, which is very, very soon. I hope I hope they're leaving themselves enough time to kind of iron out the details and any of the kind of critiques that they may discover in reviewing the device when it's going through testing and whatnot. I don't know anything about that kind of stuff, but it seems a very short amount of time to make sure that the service is perfect and that people are getting their money's worth. But if anyone can do what Google can with the money that's backing them. So I know I don't usually dive away from gaming related news, but everyone is perfectly aware that I am a huge nerd, particularly with science fiction and comics and whatnot. That two huge trailers have dropped in the last 2 days. So what I believe to be the final trailer for Avengers Endgame was dropped. Leaves fans speculating even more. They seem to have broken their promise with this trailer that they would only release footage from the first 20 minutes of the film. It seems we're getting footage in this that could be quite towards the end of the film, particularly in one scene, spoilers alert, with the three title heroes, Captain America, Thor and Iron Man. It's a shot of them from the waist down as they're looking on to Thanos, who's standing in the distance. That seems to be the tone that is towards the end of the film, which would signal that they have shown us footage outside of the original plan of 20 minutes of the film, which I'm okay with. They didn't give away too much. They kind of showed a lot of the same scenes that we've seen before. A lot of people are speculating that some of the scenes have been CGI'd over to hide the fact that they may have gone through time travel, which is a huge theory going into this film, that they go back in time to prevent Thanos doing the snap, what's called the decimation. And I would be interested in seeing something like that, them going back to their original attire in Avengers 1, which was very cool. I didn't like Captain America's too much, but the rest of them had great looks. I think it's supported by the fact that in the shot where it shows us looking from the waist up of our heroes as they walk onwards, that we don't see their faces, because I believe Thor may have his long hair back, Captain America may be wearing the Avengers 1 outfit, whereas I think Iron Man's armor has just been CGI'd to his Infinity Wars armor, or whichever one he's wearing in Endgame, I'm not too sure. It's very similar to the 90s version of Iron Man from the comics, where he has more of a V indentation in the helmet and the arms are fully yellow and whatnot. So I'm very excited for that. I have my tickets booked and all, and I'm gonna be sitting there at midnight on the 24th to see that, and hopefully walk out there satisfied, seeing as it's going to be the last time we see Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man on the screens. Until further notice. I don't think they will come back. Maybe if they do a good enough job, I don't see the need for them. Bring in the new era of Marvel, where we have Doctor Strange, Black Panther, and Spider-Man, those heroes, and Captain Marvel, of course. Jesus, I forgot Captain Marvel. I seen that movie a few weeks ago, and it's just the generic kind of Marvel kind of template now. Lackluster villain, simple origin story. You know, it's simple, can't go wrong. Sam Jackson's CGI effects, his de-aging process in that is pretty good. I thought he wouldn't be in the film for long because the cost in that thing must be incredible. But yet they kept him in it for a very, very long time. So anyway, moving on to the next trailer. The Joker trailer dropped literally, I'd say, about an hour ago. I was recording, and it really shows a different take on the Joker character. It's similar enough to the Heath Ledger style of Joker, which is probably everyone's favorite. But it's not so much as a kind of the noir feeling that the Dark Knight gave us. It's more kind of dives into kind of the character. The character seems very kind of childish and not matured, and he's walking around this world and he realizes how bad it is, and he just wants it all to stop, and then he's pushed to the brink and whatnot. Very similar to the Joker's arc in The Killing Joke, except it doesn't seem to feature the Red Hood gang and whatnot. I'm not going to dive into the comics now because then we're just going off trail completely. But Joaquin Phoenix, if anyone is going to play the Joker well, it's that guy. I've yet to see a film in that he wasn't good. The Walk the Line, for instance, is a classic, all down to his performance, and even the look. I love the look. It's going completely against the traditional purple suit with even the makeup is completely different, and I'm hoping that towards the end of the film, maybe even the last 30 seconds, that he does appear in his traditional kind of garments, with his traditional makeup and traditional hair and whatnot. And that's how we lead into the kind of the mainstream Joker. So this story is kind of his beginnings and whatnot. I'm happy enough with that. As long as they incorporate the purple somewhere down the line, I'll be happy enough to see that. Because I believe this film is all about him getting to that point of his I'm going to say criminal career. So I'm super excited for that. I think that drops in October, so we have a load of time. I'm sure another trailer will drop and completely change the dynamics of the first trailer and what we think of it and how we think the film is going to go, because it seems to be very much darker than what we've seen in the DC universe, even considering they're extremely dark as it starts already. So I'm looking forward to that one too. I'm looking forward to Avengers more now. I'm more intrigued with the Joker to see what they do and how they explain it, because a big deal with the Joker is he never really needed an origin story. And I know in one of the comics he says he prefers to have multiple, which is alluding to the fact that he's given one The Killing Joke, and he's given another origin story and another story arc I can't remember, so that way you can loosely pull pieces from each arc and make it fit into the mainstream and whatnot. It's more kind of comic related crap. But anyway, yep, that's coming soon. Good. A huge game that has been announced that fans have been eager for is Borderlands 3. Personally, I have the Handsome Jack collection on Xbox. I gave it around 6 hours altogether. On Borderlands 2, I was told to dive straight into before going into the pre-sequel. I didn't get too far into the game, but I can see how much fun it is with the uncountable amount of guns and power-ups and just like general activities you can do in the game. And the art style itself for its time is pretty good now. I was going to swear there. I don't want to swear in this podcast. Yeah, personally, I'm not a huge fan of Borderlands. Like, it's a game I'd pick up. I picked up the Handsome Jack collection for like €20, which is a bargain. I didn't realize it would be as tough. I don't know if people who play Borderlands regard it as tough, but I thought it was quite hard and challenging. at times and very frustrating. And the lack of ammo, Jesus. If you don't loot every opportunity you get, they punish you for it. And there's a lack of health. I remember I was rescuing some form of army sergeant in like Sanctuary or something like that, or Sanctum. I was rescuing him to bring him back there, and there was I wouldn't even call it a boss, but there was a huge wave of enemies, and I just couldn't do it. It took me about an hour to beat it, and afterwards I was just so drained. I was like, all right, I need to turn this game off, and I don't think I've really gone back to it since, in case in case I come up against a wave of enemies like that again. But I realized I was just skimming through the game. I wasn't leveling up. I wasn't doing side quests that often. I was doing some. Um, but yeah, everyone was telling me, everyone that has played Borderlands is so excited for this game, which just shows how good the other ones are. I just didn't appreciate as much. Kind of similar towards my attitude towards Metro. There's a lot of grinding, and personally, I don't have too much time to grind on games. If it doesn't catch me in the first 2 hours, that's my rule. More than likely that game is getting shelved, and I'll come back to it when I go, why did I stop playing this? And then I pick it up, put it in the disk drive, press play, and I realize that's why I turn it off again, and it sits on the shelf for a few more months, which is a very sad way of gaming, and I end up missing out on a very, very good few games. But it's more games like I said before, The Last of Us and Days Gone, that I'm very interested in, because they're character driven. There's a set amount of game time, and yeah, you just get lost in a great story. That's my main thing about gaming. Oh god, I'm losing my voice here. That's my main thing about gaming, is I want a great story with good gameplay as well. Obviously, gameplay is very important, but the story is very important. It has to keep me involved in the game. Like with Borderlands, it was very similar to what game was it? Kind of like how do I describe it? I'll describe it better. It's very similar to a game where the story just stops for about 2 hours, while you have to go level up, do side quests, get up to a certain level. That's it. The Witcher. Now, The Witcher is an amazing game, and I'll tell anyone that I love The Witcher. But to progress in the main quest, you have to go do a lot of side quests so that you're strong enough to keep going. And it takes a hell of a long time to level up, which in a game like that you wouldn't mind, because the gameplay itself is so enjoyable. So, yeah, all the power to Borderlands 3, and I hope it's a huge success, and I hope I enjoyed it a bit more than I did the second one. So that's it for this week. There is a big project coming soon that I'm hoping gets started in the next week or two, that I will be announcing on the next podcast. There will be a small Let's Play video this week. I'm hoping to get it going on Friday. So thank you anyone who has been listening, and I'll see you next time. Take it easy.